Actually, thank you and welcome to See You in Queens. And on today's episode, we have Justin Potter. Justin has become a friend of mine over the last year. He's a neighbor of mine, and we've gotten to know each other over the last year or so because of the whole Amazon thing that happened in Long Island City. He started an initiative called Defeat Gianaris, and it's evolved. So Justin, welcome to the show today.
Thank you very much for having me on.
So Justin, please just tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you usually from? How long have you been in Queens?
So I grew up in northwestern Connecticut on a dairy farm out there, and I moved to New York City in 2002, initially to the Upper East Side for a couple months, and then ended up down in Brooklyn. In 2012, I got married, and we were looking for a place to buy, and we literally looked at the subway map and saw that Long Island City was right across from Midtown. I thought, wow, we never considered that neighborhood, but it looks awfully convenient. So we came over here and found a great place and moved here to the Court Square area in 2012.
Wow, and you have how many kids now?
2 kids. So a 2.5-year-old boy and a 4.5-year-old girl.
Nice.
So at the moment, mom's away, and so I'm dealing with the kids all by myself.
Full-time parenting.
Not an easy task. As a father of 2, that's not easy.
They can be a handful. They can be a handful. The rules is run after the fastest one first.
Yeah.
It's good to have a strategy.
So you also own a small business?
Yeah, so e-commerce business. I started in 2005 selling decorative branches, dried grasses, dried flowers online. So I've been doing that ever since, much to my surprise.
Wow. And so you live in Long Island City, and about, 14 months ago or so, Long Island City found out that we won a competition, and Amazon had selected us.
Yes. It was an exciting surprise.
So tell me what your feeling was like when you first found out.
So I was shocked. Honestly, I hadn't thought that LIC would even be in the running for it. Sort of in retrospect, thinking about it, looking at it, it seems like an obvious choice. And like most people in the neighborhood, I was excited about it. It was an extraordinary opportunity. We live in Court Square, where there's so much stuff going on around there, and I knew we could handle it. So I was quite excited. I was very surprised to see that Councilman Jimmy Van Bramer and State Senator Michael Gianaris organized a protest against it literally the day after it was officially announced. So.
And what was your feeling like when you first saw those?
So I actually strapped on Orlando. It was a little small at the time, and we went down to the protest down the street here, and it was Senator Gianaris was there, and Jimmy Van Bramer was there, and a whole bunch of other politicians, and there were people from the groups that helped organize the protest. There's a ton of press there. There were a few people from the neighborhood there, but I saw it as I thought to myself, they'll be able to score the political points here, but at the end of the day, we'll still get Amazon. So I was a little befuddled by it, a little bothered by the fact that they're doing this, but I think like everyone, I thought at the end of the day, Amazon was still going to be there. They'd get their political points and life would move on.
Yeah, but they got louder, and it got tensions started rising.
Yes.
And I guess there was at one point there was a little bit of a fear that they actually would leave. And then what did you end up doing?
So February 4th is when Senator Gianaris got put on the Public Authorities Control Board, where he had the authority to veto the deal himself. Now this is a guy who never reached out to his community to discuss the deal. He refused to join the community advisory committee that was put together. It was 45 community leaders got together to discuss the deal and sort of negotiate for the community with Amazon and the city and the state. So he had sort of no interest in negotiating at all. And now here he was on the Public Authorities Control Board with the veto over the deal. So Amazon got there were rumors that Amazon was considering pulling out. And on February 7th, Senator Gianaris had this sort of meeting with constituents, sort of an open office hours right here in Long Island City, and Orlando and I went over there and we sat down with them. Orlando with Senator Gianaris is right here, and I'm obviously seeing like.
'Cause I went there actually.
Oh, you went there?
He had it at Canella.
Yeah,
and he went-
exactly.
And he disappeared for like an hour.
Oh, no
And
kidding.
I waited for like a half hour.
I remember you.
Yeah, I waited for like a half hour. He never came back.
Wait, is Orlando your child?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The youngest son. And so I sat down with him. Orlando was offering him a cookie. He wasn't interested in Orlando's cookie. But I asked him, so a big question that was bothering me was, that I asked him was, are you trying to leverage this deal for the benefit of our community, or are you just trying to kill it? So in the typical long-winded politician's manner, he was just trying to kill it. And that bothered me.
So he didn't care about it.
He
He was trying to get anything for the community.
Exactly.
He wanted to be known as a killer, basically, the Amazon killer.
So he made a very interesting comment then, which is, I'm staking my political career, on the Amazon deal, and I thought to myself, you're staking your political career on 25,000 jobs. I see 25,000 jobs for people. It's a tremendous opportunity. It's not about your career. This is about the district that you represent.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Western Queens. So I asked him that. He said that, and then I also asked him about the film tax credits as well, because of course his big thing was railing against corporate welfare. He's totally demagoguing on that issue. I asked him about the film tax credits, which so greatly benefits Western Queens. And he went into a very reasonable, nuanced explanation of the film tax credits and how they work and why they're good for Western Queens, which is what I would expect from my state senator. Not this this corporate welfare talk that he was giving Amazon. So I came away from that feeling, I don't like this guy. So and I thought to myself, I ought to register some domain names, just in case something happens here. So on February 13th, I registered the domain name defeatgianaris.com.
I can see why you guys get along. About the URL, I have an idea.
So it's
That's
February.
why I only got 200 domain names.
just in case. Awesome. So that's February 13th, and then February 14th, I was in the car with my two kids, and then Brian Lair comes on, breaks in over his show. Breaking news here. Amazon has decided to pull out of New York City. My jaw dropped, and then my next thought was like, well, if there's ever a time to do something with that URL, I think today is it. So I got Madeline going on an art project, which she likes to do, and put Orlando down for a nap, and I went to Squarespace and threw up this site, and I defeat you now. I said, okay, what are we gonna do here? So I'll just put a form here, to collect people's emails and whatnot, and I threw it up, and then shortly thereafter the emails started coming in. The people who are interested in this concept of defeating Gianaris in the 2020.
Wow.
So
How many emails have you collected?
a lot.
A lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so what have you been doing with this whole defeat Gianaris thing now?
So it evolved. So soon thereafter, in early February, we had a big meeting over at bureaucracy. 30 or 40 people came up from all over the area. So there's a solid line city contingent. There's a big contingent from Astoria. The Greek community was very upset with what happened from Sunnyside. And we just all got together and sort of discussed the issue and next steps. So and then after that, we were sort of looking around for trying to find a candidate to run against him. And we had people weren't terribly interested in doing so. He's the deputy majority leader. He has $2.5 million in the bank. He's a formidable opponent. And then a few months later, we started this the committee on Citizens for Queens. So we decided we had to form an actual political committee, and we needed a candidate for it. So I put my name in the hat as a candidate. We formed this multi-candidate committee, Citizens for Queens, to start sort of more formally organizing a primary against them.
Now, you made this your mission. You've been you've been speaking with political consultants and attorneys.
Yes.
And you've been interviewed everywhere. I've seen you on New York One, Daily News, New York. I mean, you're everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, it is very much a mission. So back in around February 14th, when this thing blew up, I sort of thought to myself, it's sort of like it's our civic responsibility, our civic duty, to make sure that elections don't go uncontested. I do. It is a mission.
Okay.
Does this harken back to any past experience, even in college or after these political aspirations or engagement, or have you just been a civically minded person?
I had no political aspirations whatsoever. So much so back in back when I moved to New York City, I went to the DMV office, and I was sort of filling out the voter registration form there. So I've always supported Democratic candidates. I'm very Democratic perspective. I was like, I'll vote in the Republican primaries to help shape them and whatnot. I think it's good to have a diversity of sort of opinion and perspectives. So had I thought that I was ever going to run for office, I would not have done that because of course, after the deal blew up in February, I thought, oh my, I'm going to have to run against this guy. I had to go out to Kew Gardens and change my registration.
Well, Elizabeth Warren was a Republican at one point.
Yes, well, and as well as Julia Salazar, who right now is a darling of the far left. And she not only was a registered Republican, but she ran a pro-life group up till 2012.
Wow.
So change.
People change. And so the idea of this being sort of thrown back on me is a little much. I've always been sort of pro-choice. And I'm for gun control and sort of all the standard
Social issues.
Yeah, and social issues.
Yeah.
100%. And sort of economically, I also am sort of a democratic mindset as well. So.
Wow. So now you have you can Citizen Queens. What is that exactly?
So Citizens for Queens is the multi-candidate committee that we set up to support sort of candidates who are sort of more moderate than what we're seeing right now from Senator Gianaris and Jimmy Van Bramer, and also the DSA badge candidates as well.
It's more like old school Democrats.
Yeah, exactly.
During the Bill Clinton days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's sort of a counterbalance to the DSA, which has called the shots for the past year. So.
And who can be a part of that? Anybody? The Citizens for Queens.
Yeah. So it is a political committee. So we have a treasurer.
You have a board set up.
Yeah. So we get it. There are multiple people involved. But in terms of what's in the board of elections paperwork, we have the treasurer, and me as a candidate.
I see.
So.
And have you raised money yet?
Yeah, so we've been raising money, and we've been raising money and doing some advertising and doing quite a bit of door knocking. A big push we did in the late summer was try to get people who were not registered Democrats to register Democrat. So there's a huge number of people.
You brought that up. You mentioned it to me. How many people are registered as independents? I think you mentioned.
It's
like 700,000 or something.
No. Well, within the district, it's a lot. It's a very, very significant number. So we're reaching out to those people and encouraging them to register Democrat, because if you're unaffiliated, you can't vote in the primaries, which are the most important elections in Western Queens, where it's a one party.
That's how the socialists are winning, because very few people show up to the primaries.
Exactly.
You can see that with the whole Melinda Katz and Tiffany Caban thing.
Yeah.
Melinda, which was it was like another Gore Bush kind of thing.
Totally.
With the hanging chads, and Melinda won by 55 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that was a really hotly contested election. But in the district with the highest turnout, which was up in Assembly District 36, I believe, there was only 17% of registered Democrats that showed up for that election. So in AOC, of course, that was a complete phenomenon, a political earthquake. She is now it's the biggest celebrity politician there is. So she won with 12% of the registered Democratic.
Wow.
Vote.
Every vote is really counts at this point.
It does, and it's I believe that the strength of the far left has been greatly exaggerated by the low voter turnout. So quote unquote nice thing about this Amazon deal blowing up is I think it's woken up a lot of people as to the need to get out there and vote in the primaries.
So like with the Gianaris, the last time he ran, how many people do you think voted in that election?
Well, in the primary, it was probably fewer than 15% surely.
Wow.
So and in the general election, he was completely uncontested. So and he hasn't had a primary challenger in many elections.
Wow.
So
this election could be very important, and it could literally be like another Melinda Katz thing where it could be won by maybe a dozen people.
Absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. So people, everyone out there, if you are not registered Democrat and these issues matter to you, you have to register Democrat before February 14th, which
coincidentally,
is the Amazon deal blowing up. So
wow.
Hard to forget that date. I think really nobody should forget that date if they're in a committed relationship as well.
Well, exactly.
Lots of things to remember now. 3 things.
Yeah.
Wow. So and you have some big time consultants behind you. There was an article about like a Cuomo guy who's like.
Yeah. So a lawyer who worked for Cuomo is our lawyer now. So there are a lot of people with a lot of experience who are very heavy hitters in the political field who are extremely interested in what's going on in Senate District 12 and would love to see Senator Gianaris
defeated. So now you have something there?
I was just going to ask, how do you communicate what your biggest differentiating factor is as a candidate? What would people be interested to learn?
So against Senator Gianaris? Well, first and foremost, I think 25,000 jobs would have been good for Queens. So that's the first thing. But so more generally, I think we need some constructive solutions to the very real problems we face. Housing affordability to me is like the top issue in Queens, in New York City, and beyond. Even nationally. Senator Gianaris and others in his crowd sort of feel like rent regulation is the only way to do it. It's all about sort of tightening the screws on property owners, and that's how we're going to solve the affordability crisis. But everyone recognizes that alone is not going to be sufficient. You have to build more housing. So that
supply and demand.
It's a huge supply issue. The market is not going to take care of everyone, but it can be taking care of a heck of a lot more people than it is now. So we really need to work on simply building more housing. But it needs to be a multifaceted approach. So get the market working better, and be more rational about rent regulation. Means testing needs to be considered for rent regulations. Right now there are nearly 100,000 rent-regulated apartments that are occupied by people making over 165% of the area median income. And when you have a huge homeless population right now, and affordability is such an issue, I sort of feel like
that's not fair.
It is fundamentally unfair.
Yeah.
Affordable housing should go to those who need it. It shouldn't just be some gift that you got when you moved here in 2002 or whenever that allows you to have a beach house somewhere.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
Good point.
The other issues you have, and I follow you on Twitter, and you talk a lot about pharma. And you talk a lot about the elevators, which I am so so in agreement with you.
Okay, so the farmer thing. All right, so I never run for office before, and I had the opportunity to avoid the original sin of so many politicians, which is taking special interest money hand over fist.
Okay.
So Senator Gianaris built his career on special interest money, and he's the chair of the DSCC, the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee. And in that position, just this past March, he took $125,000 from big pharma, like in one shot.
Wow.
And
you're allowed to do that?
They're allowed to do that. So for the DSCC, which is the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee, they're allowed to do it. So the drug pricing is a tremendous issue.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's going to be Cuomo's put on the agenda for next session. So when this issue comes up in the legislature, how hard is Senator Gianaris going to be fighting for the interests of our grandparents and ourselves and the general public if he's thinking about that $125,000 check he got from Farmer last March? He's not going to be fighting very hard for it.
I can't tell you how many times I've gotten prescriptions from doctors and I go to the pharmacy and the prescription is like $200 or $300. I'm like, you know what? I don't need it that much, right?
Sad.
And
It's
yeah,
so sad.
it's a lot. It's a big issue because it's really only in America. If you go to anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in the world, you see drug prices really low. So it's probably because they're lobbying a lot of these politicians.
Yeah, 100%. But so highlighting that issue is highlighting the special interest money influence. But I also fundamentally believe that our healthcare system is sort of fundamentally broken and in need of aggressive intervention. Calling the healthcare system a market is an insult to markets.
Yeah.
And the way the government handles it is just ridiculous.
Wow. And then elevators.
Oh yes, elevators.
I've been tweeting back at you every time you tweet about the elevator.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous that in 2020 we don't have elevators in all of our train stations. All our train stations should be accessible. But we don't have them because it costs at least 10 times as much in New York City to make our stations accessible as it does anywhere else in the world. So and a huge part of that is it's the cost, but it's the special interest influence on the whole process. From the scaffold law, which is sort of only a New York liability law that imposes absolute liability on contractors and building owners for sort of gravity-related falls. So it jacks up the cost of building anything. Housing, infrastructure, the elevators for our subway stations, 5 to 7% across the entire state of New York. And the people who love it most are the trial lawyers. So take on issues like that. It's going to be important. But you have to go after these special interests, influences, and the things that are giving them their windfalls. So.
But with the ADA, wouldn't that fall under something that they have to do that to make it accessible for all? We have to change our website. For different limitations.
We recently had to change up. We had to change our website recently because it wasn't adaptable. Well, one section of our website actually, not our website is ADA compliant. There was one section that wasn't adaptable for the blind.
Oh no kidding!
Yeah, so we had to change. We had to make that change.
Which is fine, but wouldn't something like that fall under the same requirement?
Well, the government gets a lot of exceptions. You look at NYCHA and what's going on in there in terms of the conditions that people are living in now, and if a private landlord were doing that, they would have had their property seized, seized long ago. But it's tolerated if the government does it seems. So and then stuff like the fact that we have sewage pouring into the river when it rains and stuff like that. It's
a lot of issues. So I'm sure, like you, a lot of people over the past year, between hearing candidates like Bernie and AOC and all these people are probably, and seeing how some people like Gianaris or whoever are making decisions that affect them, have probably thought of running for office. You actually did all the paperwork and are an official candidate. What was that process like? I'm thinking it's probably like a really crazy process. Was there a lot of paperwork you had to do? You had to get signatures, or what is it exactly you have to do?
So there actually is not a lot of paperwork to file to run for office. There's really the filings that you have to do that the treasurer has volunteered to take that as a responsibility to take on and whatnot. And the filing the paperwork is not really the issue. It's more of wanting to put yourself out there and for the headache of it all, inviting the scrutiny that you're never going to get. So
literally anybody can.
Literally anybody.
You could not even have a high school degree and you can run for office.
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
So the big next step though is getting on the ballot. So that's gonna start in February 28th, I believe, where you have to run around and get the petitions, you get the signatures to get on the ballot. So that's the
And what's that requirement?
So for state senate, it's 1,000 signatures, but you need like 5,000 to actually make sure you get it
It's
done.
doable.
Yeah.
It's totally doable. It's totally doable.
Yeah.
Like they're talking this week about the Queensborough president, New York 1, they're talking about this, and we have Donovan and AC Jimmy,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, they're all out in the subway stations collecting signatures.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so that's what it's for, basically.
Yeah. So, and well, another huge hurdle, of course, is the money.
Sure.
Money is the biggest thing. So for this sort of thing, you can win it with $200,000, but it's a lot of money that needs to be raised for it. So.
And you have to
Campaign.
report all the money.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Every expenditure, it all has to be reported very carefully. So.
And are the funds, I assume, for visibility in your campaign? Like the more you have, the more you can do to be more visible to more people.
Totally. Yeah, and hiring staff.
Yeah.
Advertising, so getting out there. It's very important. But sort of one quirk about this particular race is that there is a ton of media interest in the race, and someone taking on the Amazon slayer.
Sure.
So it flipped from him being Amazon being Goliath, and Senator Gianaris being David to it's now me taking on the Amazon slayer Goliath. So
It's a good angle.
Yeah.
It's
And
interesting.
you've been posting almost like every week, I think. You've been posting all the postcards you get from him.
Oh yeah. Well, it's been a torrent. It's been an absurd torrent. So
And our tax dollars pay for that?
our tax dollars paid for that.
So for those who don't follow Justin, what's your Twitter handle?
It's JBPLIC.
Yeah, or you can also follow defeatgianaris.com.
Yeah, I've been posting mostly from JBPLIC.
Okay. So Justin's been posting photographs of his mailbox, and you've been posting. I think there was one of them where he had maybe like 8 or 9 different posts.
Yes.
And a lot of them were like multiple. They're just multiple.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my wife and I are both registered voters, and so he felt he had to send one.
So both you get one.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Same residence.
The same residents. And so I saw someone on Twitter. It was actually some Bernie supporter in Sunnyside who they posted something on Twitter, and apparently he had 4 registered voters in his household, or the previous residents had four voters, and because he was getting 4 of every single one. And if you look on the upper right hand corner, it says paid for by the NY Senate, and this stuff can only be viewed as campaign material. It's not like the updates you get from your council member or your assembly person. This is just like, look at Mike Gianaris and all these great things that he did on this, and then you open up your mailbox the next day and look at all these great things that he did on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if, looking at his campaign filings in a few weeks, we find that he did a poll shortly before he started sending these all out, and that probably might have inspired him to start flooding mailboxes with these flyers.
Well, so my dollars are going to pay for these mailers.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. Yeah. So
It's such a
about-
visual representation of like mismanaged
Yeah.
money, like sitting in your inbox.
yeah.
so
Well,
crazy.
and how
I don't
unfair.
use mail anymore, really. I check my mailbox like once a month. I go to my mailbox and
Yeah.
it's exploded. I know when I go when the mail person tells me I can't fit anything in. I'm like, all right, I'll take it out now. And I take stuff out, and I'm standing by the trash bin for like an hour.
Yeah, totally.
So who actually sent stuff? The email is supposed to be very green and environmentally, so
The irony.
Greta would be really upset at him.
Well, the irony of it is one of them was all about promoting his environmental work, and he was like, I don't do anything to save this planet, as he's jamming duplicate flyers into every single mailbox in the district.
Well, it's generational too. I mean, there are older residents who rely on their physical mail that aren't going to see a tweet and they're not going to open an inbox.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were you, next time you get that, I would tweet at Greta and be like, how dare he?
Well, if the taxpayers, if I get a taxpayer mind to send mail to every single voter in the district, I would too.
Yeah, so just one.
Yeah.
One at a time at least.
Alright, so I guess I wanted to talk, so what's your favorite place in Long Island City?
Favorite place?
It could be a restaurant, a place to go with your kids, or whatever.
Restaurant. So favorite place would probably be LIC Market.
Okay, I love that place.
Over there on 44th Drive.
Yeah.
When we moved to the neighborhood in 2012, there weren't as many restaurant options, and that was our go-to. And it was before we had kids, and it was just like such an amazing place. So, like, it's like, it's casual, but upscale, and we went there all the time. Yeah, it's always now in the small enough, so we bring the seat in there. But then with 2 kids now, it's really.
It's right. I know. But if you go there for brunch, get the bullseye. My favorite dish.
Oh, I haven't been for brunch in a while.
It's
Okay.
really good. And so hopefully, well, so you're officially a candidate now.
Yes.
And there's, I guess, another person recently
Yes.
threw their hat in the ring.
Yeah.
Iggy, I think his name is.
Yeah, Iggy Terranova.
No. Okay, so now Gianaris, I think, we're at the beginning. He went against Amazon because he was afraid he's going to get a primary. All of a sudden, it looks like he has 2 primary people now.
Exactly.
And when's that election?
So it's June 23rd, 2020.
Oh wow! So it's coming up in like 5 months.
It is.
Wow.
It's coming
Okay. So what's your goal? Are you getting out there? Are you going to events?
Yeah. So I've been going to community events since basically February.
Wow.
You're going to the community board meetings, going to civic association meetings, and mostly just listening. So listening to what the issues are. We've been knocking on doors, talking to voters, talking to community leaders. The number of people in the community who dislike him is very encouraging for the effort. He does not have many defenders.
Wow.
So.
What's the number one concern you're hearing from residents and community members? Is there a thread, some common theme you keep hearing?
Well, Amazon is a huge issue for everyone. Most people aren't tuned into local politics, but everyone knows about the Amazon deal blowing up. So I walk up to some random person and say, "Hi, my name is Justin Potter, and I'm challenging Mike Gianaris, who killed the Amazon deal," and that brings a smile to many people's faces.
Wow.
But more generally, it is the extreme sort of leftward shift, and there's little consideration given to everyone else. The far left needs to be heard, and they have a lot of valid concerns, especially around housing affordability and other issues. But other people need to be heard and listened to and considered as well, and that is not happening right now with Senator Gianaris. So.
Wow. So your life has obviously changed a lot.
I have a new hobby. Big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what does your wife say about all this?
So she loves it. So she's been
That's
totally egging me on and extremely supportive. Sort of very enthusiastically pushing me to run. So.
Are your parents and family members?
They're upstate, so they're like on a farm in upstate New York now.
Okay.
And so they're.
But like you called up your parents, your dad or whoever, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, hey, I'm running for Senate. What are they saying?
Well, yeah, exactly. So my dad gets in New York Post out there on the farm in the Finger Lakes area. So whenever something comes up in the post, hey Dad, pick up the post. I might be in it today.
That's cool.
So if somebody wants to get involved or donate money, where do they go?
PotterForStateSenate.com.
Okay, and that's the website that you're up right now. And
Yeah, it's up and running.
okay, and I guess just get out there, vote, and definitely register as a Democrat.
Before February 14th, the anniversary of that Amazon deal blowing up.
Yeah. And looking forward to seeing Justin beat Gianaris.
That is the objective, and I think we just might do it.